When I wrote my first book on environmental issues, called Ecoscam in 1992, I was skeptical of global warming, and there was good reason to be at the time because there's very little science at that point. It had been barely 4 or 5 years before the problem had been raised to public awareness. And one of the problems is that I had become aware of the fact that environmentalism was not only an amalgam of science, but also is, if you will, a political ideology. And so I was skeptical that the same people who had been propounding population doom, who had been worried about nuclear winter, who had been worried about the massive famines occurring and so forth, were now changing and moving in the direction of global warming. So my initial skepticism was, I've seen these people before, they were wrong before, perhaps they're wrong now. In the fullness of time, I've now attended over 10 UN climate change meetings. I've talked to hundreds of scientists. I've read very deeply in the literature, and I've come to the conclusion that the balance of the evidence suggests that global warming could become a significant problem toward the end of this century.
Is there a solution?
Yes, there is a solution, and we're already embarking upon it. Basically, we're going to have to transform over time our energy system so that we use fewer fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are the main problem because they emit carbon dioxide, which is the main greenhouse gas which is causing the problem. And so we will have to be moving over the century in the direction of producing energy using less fossil fuel. In this particular case, it'll be a mix of nuclear power, probably will be the baseline power, and we'll also be using more solar and wind power over that period of time. In the meantime, one of the bridge fuels that we'll have to go to is using natural gas to replace coal, which coal emits a lot more carbon dioxide than natural gas does.
Mr. Bailey, you talk about nuclear power being increased or as the baseline fuel, but hasn't the trend been downward for nuclear power in the last 5-10 years?
That's in the United States, that is correct. But what's interesting is that we've had a whole bunch of new wonderful designs for nuclear power plants that are passive safe that could come online. The United States is probably going to be reluctant to take the lead on this. I suspect that other countries, for example, China or Finland or France, will go first in developing these plants, and that what will happen is that eventually people will wake up in the United States and go, oh wow, these other people are getting these benefits, perhaps we should move in that direction. And when the United States changes its mind on something like that, we move very rapidly, and I think that that is probably what's going to occur.